Hello class. So in this section GPS we're going to be looking at slope-intercept equation and graphing. So the slope-intercept form of a line is y equals to mx plus b, which most of you should know by now. So when we look at this form, if you remember from before, m stands for the slope, okay? Whereas b stands for the y, whereas b stands for the y-intercept. Okay, keep in mind the y-intercept is always a coordinate, right? It's always something zero. Oh, sorry, I mean zero something, right? The y-intercept means this is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So it would always be zero and then something, right? The x is always zero. So let's look at some examples. So if we look at the first example, we have 17.2. So what's the slope? Basically, the slope is always the number right in front of the x, the m part, right? So slope is always the number right in front of the x. So what's slope here? It's going to be negative 2 over 3. And this guy is your y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is always a coordinate. So what would that coordinate be? Well, that's the y value, 4. So the y-intercept, x is always 0. So that coordinate is 0, 4. And that's it. Okay. So basically, you just have to know how to read off the slope and the y-intercept when you're given the slope-intercept one. So again, let's look at the next one. So here we have the slope is going to be the number right in front of the x. So the slope is 3 over 4. And notice the slope does not have the x included, okay? The slope is just a number or a fraction, all right? There's no x in the slope. So that's our slope. And then this guy is the y-intercept, which is negative 7. But remember, it's always a coordinate. So the x value is always 0. So it would be 0 and then negative 7. Okay, keep in mind that's always the y value, the y-intercept at negative 7. Okay, if we look at the next two, what's our slope here? Slope, again, number in front of the x. So our slope is 4. What's the y-intercept? Well, there's nothing there, so it's just 0. What's that coordinate? 0, 0. All right, and same situation on the next one, right? What's the slope here, right? Let me fix that a little bit, right? You're not taking the x, right? Slope is always a number in front of the x. So your slope is negative 2. What's the y-intercept? Nothing there, so it's 0, 0 again. Okay. All right. So let's look at this one. Now, if you look at this one, it's a little different because if you look here, you can't read off the slope right away, right? Remember, the slope should look like this, right? Y equals to mx plus b. But what do you notice? This does not look like that, right? So what do you have to do? Basically, when you have it looking like this, you need to solve for y. You have to make this equation, right, look like this one. But this one says y equals. So you gotta solve for y and make this one look like that one. So what do? We gotta solve for y. So let's solve for y. How do I solve for y? Remember, you gotta get y by itself, right? So you gotta get y by itself. So leave y alone. Don't touch the y. Move everybody else. So what should I do? Plus 6x to both sides. Okay, you're moving everybody else. So then what does that give us? We're gonna get negative 5y equals to, and let's put the x first. So I'm gonna say this is 6x plus 15, right? I'm gonna put the x first. And then what do I do now? Divide both sides by negative 5. And remember, when I divide by negative 5, everyone gets the negative 5. So that cancels out. And what are you left with? You're left with y equals 2. And remember I told you, if it doesn't divide, you pull the fraction out, right? You put the negative on top. So pull the fraction aside and always put the negative on top. So I'm going to call this negative 6 divided by 5x. And then 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3. Okay, so that's our equation. So then now you can read off the slope. This is your m, and that is your b. So what's the slope here? The slope is negative 6 over 5. The y-intercept, remember, that's when x is 0. The y value is negative 3. Okay, so again, just like before, if you cannot divide the 5 into the 6, you pull that fraction aside, right? So that's just 6 over 5, and then you put the negative on top, all right? That'll always be correct if you just put the negative on top. All right, let's look at another one. So same situation here, right? we can't read the slope off right away. It has to say y equals, right? So we have to solve for y. How do we solve for y? Here's your y. Don't touch him. Move everybody else. So I'm going to have to move this 6 over, 6x. So plus 6x to both sides. So what do I get? I'm going to get 4y equals, 4y minus 12. Right, that's 4y minus 12 equals to 6x. And I got to move that 12 over, don't I? Right, so plus 12 to both sides. So I'm going to get 4y equals to 6x plus 12. And divide both sides by 4. And remember, everyone gets the 4. The 4's cancel. I'm left with y equals 2. Pull that fraction aside. That's going to be 6 over 4x plus 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay? And if you remember what I said, if I have a fraction, right? If I can't divide it, I pull it aside. But what do I have to do? You have to make sure you reduce, right? Well, what goes into 6 and 4? Well, 2 goes into 6 and 4. So to reduce, you divide top and bottom by 2. Okay, that's how you reduce. So what's the final answer? You're going to get y equals to 3 over 2x plus 3. Okay, now you can read off the slope. What's the slope? The slope is 3 over 2. What's the y-intercept? 0, 3. Okay, so again, this guy is your m, and this guy is your p. Okay, the y-intercept. And sometimes you guys always ask me, do you always have to reduce? The answer is yes, you always have to reduce. Let's look at another one. All right, so same situation here, right? We need to solve for y. How do I solve for y? Here's the y. Don't touch the y. Move everybody else, right? So plus 3x to both sides. Okay, so we get negative 5y equals to 3x. Divide both sides by negative 5. Okay, so we get y equals 2. And I can't divide. Pull that fraction out. Pull the negative on top. So I'm going to say that's negative 3 over 5x. Okay, and again, that's my m. And what's the y-intercept? There's nothing there, right? So your slope is negative 3 over 5. And your y-intercept, since there's no y-intercept, is 0, 0, right? Remember that? The y-intercept here is 0, 0. Okay, let's look at the last one. So, the last one? Yes, it is. Okay, the last one. So again, you have to make it say y equals. So here's your y, solve for y, right? Move everybody else except for the y. So minus 2x on both sides. Minus 2x on both sides. Okay, we're going to end up with 3y minus 5 equals 2. And pull the x first. So let's write that as negative 2x plus 16. And then add the 5 to both sides. Okay, that comes out. So we're left with 3y equals to negative 2x. And that's going to give us positive 21. Divide both sides by 3. Remember, everyone gets the 3. So we get y equals to negative 2 over 3x plus 7. So what's my slope? Remember, this guy is my slope. This guy is the y-intercept. So my slope is negative 2 over 3. My y-intercept is 0, comma. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, you can watch the video again and pause it. And if you have any questions, post on the discussion forum. Okay.